Hey everyone, welcome into another edition of Corner Kicks. Rob Wong joined alongside by national soccer columnist Derek Van Diest, who is in Qatar for the FIFA World Cup covering Canada's journey. And Derek, a valiant effort by Canada in their first two games, but that journey ultimately comes to an end as they are eliminated after a 4-1 loss to Croatia. Let's start there, and a lot was made coming into the game about whether Canada could do similar things to the betting favorites from Croatia that they did in their opener against Belgium. In the end, that was not the case, despite getting the early goal from Alphonso Davies. What do you think was the difference in the match?
Well, it was an exciting few minutes for Canada. They got off to a great start. Alphonso Davies scored 67 seconds into the game, and I think the goal was almost too soon. I think a lot of people hadn't been settled in yet. They were excited about the game. They're ready to cheer, and they're kind of getting into the game when the goal was scored. So I think it took a lot of people by surprise. It obviously took the Croatians by surprise, and Canada played really well after that. They had a couple of more opportunities to extend the lead, and I think had they been able to find that second goal, then Croatia would have been in real trouble. And I think John Herdman kind of talked about that they could have, if they could have found that second goal, then they would have been in good shape. Unfortunately, Croatia found its game, and they started dominating in midfield, and they got 2 goals in the first half to come back and turn that game around. And then when Canada was chasing the game in the second half, Croatia was able to hit them with a couple of counterattacks and make it 4-1. But overall, I think you're looking at the performance. The performance itself wasn't as good as the performance against Belgium, and I think that's why Canada was a little disappointed. They thought they could come out and put a similar performance against Croatia that they did against Belgium. They probably should have won the game against Belgium. They were unlucky to lose that game, and very unlucky not to get anything out of that game, which eventually became their downfall, because not getting a point into that first game made that second game so critical. They could not lose that second game. And unfortunately, by losing that second game, now the third game becomes basically an exhibition game because they can't move on to the next round. Morocco has a lot on the line, so they'll be excited about that game. But basically for Canada, they're just going to play out that string there, playing that third game with no chance to advance. But outside of that, I think depending on how they do against Morocco, I think a lot of people kind of expected them to do what they did here because it was a very tough group. But I think Canada, for the most part, showed well.
So you mentioned people are still getting settled in before that Alphonso Davies goal was scored. I imagine some people might have not even seen it, waiting to get to their seats because it was so early in the matchup. But what was that moment like for you to be in the stadium to witness Canadian soccer history?
Oh, it was very exciting, and anyone that was in the stadium has got to be excited about that moment. It was a fantastic moment for Canada, fantastic moment for Canada soccer, and I think it almost seems surreal the way the ball kind of, when the cross came over, the ball kind of just hung in the air, and then you could see Alphonso Davies. I'm not sure if you could see it on TV, but you could see it from our vantage point. He made about a 20, 25-yard run to the ball, and you can see he was going to get to it. It almost felt like slow motion, and then when he did get there, he powered that header home. It was a fantastic goal, and to have the first goal in the World Cup scored, you want a memorable goal, and that's going to be a memorable goal. They're going to remember that first goal that they scored in the World Cup. Unfortunately, it was overshadowed by the loss, overshadowed by the fact that Croatia went on to score 4 goals. And the fact that goal came so early in the match, I think a lot of things happened after that. But it was a great moment for Canadian soccer, but I know that Canada wanted to do more than just score a goal. They wanted to do more than just play well. They wanted to do more than just compete. They wanted to really challenge to get into that second round. And to do that, they needed to have that third game mean something. So I think that's where the disappointment is for Canada, is that third game now doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that the game against Morocco will not mean anything as far as the standings go for Canada. But what do you think is next now as everyone looks ahead to 4 years from now when Canada is one of the hosts of the World Cup? They will be back looking for revenge, if you will, looking for a better results. What do you think needs to happen between now and 4 years from now in order for Canada to progress?
Well, I think John Herdman always said it was important for Canada to get to a World Cup before they participated in one as host. So they needed to know what it was like, what the World Cup is like, what it's like here, how things operate. And to be honest, Canada is a little naive coming in here, just the way everything is operated. Everything is, it's such a massive media event, and everything is done scheduled to the minute, and everything works out. The other teams bring out their star players to talk and promote their country, promote their team. Canada has to learn that yet. We still haven't talked to Alphonso Davies. He's been here for 10 days. We still haven't talked to Alphonso Davies. We didn't get a chance to talk to him today. I think some new media members were a little upset about that. I've talked to Messi 3 times. We've had opportunities to talk to Messi 3 times. We've talked to Ronaldo. We've talked to Harry Kane. But for some reason, Alphonso Davies, we haven't had a chance to talk to him. That's something that Canada has to learn, along with John Herdman. He admitted that was probably a mistake what he said about the Croatians, or was a mistake revealing what he said about the Croatians. That just gave motivation to his opponents. You never want to motivate your opponents the way he did. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned here from Canada, but I think the key is to actually learn those lessons and take what you can from this tournament and move forward to the next one.
Well, it's not over yet. One more game coming up against Morocco on Thursday. You can find all of Derek's World Cup coverage at Postmedia and on Twitter at Derek Van Diest.